Good morning and welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. We've been coming to you live from the 85th Annual STA Market Structure Conference. Helping me kick off the second day of coverage is Cohen. He is the head of North American Equities over at Nasdaq. Thank you so much for joining us over STA. Now, this is the key conference of the year for everyone in our business. What are some of the topics you're focusing on this week?
So we're in Washington, so I suspect we're going to debate a lot of the policy issues that are on the top. That is the access fee pilot. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the market data roundtable that the SEC will have in a few weeks and what the goals are there. And then finally, I hope we have an opportunity to talk about capital formation and what we're going to do to make sure that we make our public markets as attractive as we possibly can for companies that are thinking about going public or companies that are already public.
It seems to be the hot topic that I've spoken to people that we've had on yesterday, liquidity. It always seems to be the hot topic at this conference, and it has not changed this year. It seems to be the thing that comes up, whether it's fixed income, cryptocurrency, equities, that seems to be the key.
It is. And so many of the policy matters that we'll be discussing really talk about liquidity in one way or another. So when we talk about access fees, we're talking about how do we make that liquidity as readily and accessible as possible at the right price levels? How do we think about liquidity on exchange versus off exchange? How do we incent more liquidity in some names that otherwise don't have as much liquidity? So I think that's going to be part and parcel of the discussion today.
Let's play some inside baseball. How does Nasdaq approach capital markets? Because that seems to be a key theme for us, what we focus on every day.
Yeah, and I think we've been pretty consistent on that, where we think the number one issue in markets today are in thinly traded names where there's just not enough liquidity. We haven't designed the market correctly for them. We talk about the one-size-fits-all approach that we have in the market today,
right,
and how we'd like to recalibrate that for the benefit of those issuers and those investors in those names. So I think that's one of our focuses. We have also, in terms of just market policy and liquidity, put out a market data proposal. We put out 3 proposed changes to market structure that I think has been well received, that I think we can get the community and the industry behind. And then finally, when it comes to the access fee pilot, we're going to debate that. We have a particular view, and our view is much more around modernizing the transparency and disclosure regime in the U.S., which we think will improve the markets before we actually need to take the next step, which is start to play around.
I think it's been really positive to hear from a couple that I've interviewed when we talk about the tick pilot and so forth, that there's a lot of good lessons that have been learned from that and how it's going to be applied to the access fee. And I think it's a really positive theme to come out of the conference.
I do too. I think people have a bit of a pilot fatigue after the tick pilot. People want to take a look at the results and understand what we've learned. People want to understand if we thought one thing was going to happen but something else happened, why that was, and what we can do about that going forward. So I think we're hopefully going to learn some lessons from the tick pilot. Not all bad, not all good, but lessons in general that will inform us before we take the next step on the access fee pilot or anything else we might do.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, STA.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining me throughout the day. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Market